Hello everybody and welcome to ECS36B. I know you're interested in getting programming right away, but before we do, we have to get a couple of things set up first. What we need to get are our build tools and our editor. The build tools are responsible for converting our source code into an executable, and the things that we need to get in this regard are GCC, G++, GDB, make, and CMake. We're also going to need to get an editor to write in. In this class, we're going to be using CLion, but if you already have a personal preference for a favorite editor, you are more than welcome to continue using that. But I do recommend trying out CLion because all of the examples we use in class are going to be based off of it, and you might find that you like it more than what you currently have. So to get our compiler and all of our other build tools, we're going to want to head over into our terminal, and then you're going to want to use your package manager to install those things. I'm assuming since you're using Linux that you know well enough how to do this, but for example, if you were on Ubuntu, you would run this command right here. For example, I'm going to copy that and paste that over here. And you would then go ahead and let it be installed. And then after this command finishes running, which might take a minute or two, you should have everything set up in terms of build tools. The next thing that we're going to get is CLion, and I'm not running Linux right now, so when the little video you're going to see in a second about installing CLion, some of the windows might be slightly different, but most of the steps should be the same. So I'm going to go bring you over to that tutorial on how to get CLion right now. Okay, now that our computers have restarted, it's time to open up CLion. So find the shortcut on your desktop and open it up. And since you probably haven't ever installed CLion in the past, select Do Not Import Settings. It should be the only option that you have. Then choose your preferred theme. I like light. Then go to Next. At this point, CLion should be able to locate your toolchain to use for building, your make, your C compiler, your C++ compiler, and your debugger. So we're going to wait here for a second to double check that CLion is indeed able to find all those things. If CLion isn't able to find them automatically, we're going to have to manually point CLion to each one of these applications. But great, we don't have to do that. It found them all. So we'll go for default plugins. By default, all of these should say to install all, and we do want all of them. So just click Next for featured plugins. And for your featured plugins, you probably want to install all of them except for the Idea Vim. If you like Vim and you've used Vim in the past and you want a Vim experience inside CLion, go ahead and install it. But for everybody else, don't click on that one because it's probably going to make your life really terrible because it has a very different way of interacting with the editor than you're probably used to. So now that we have everything installed, click Start using CLion, and it should open up. Now, sometime during the course of you using CLion, it's probably going to ask you to verify your installation. If it doesn't, or if you just want to do it manually, you can go down here to Configure, and you can click Manage License, and then you can enter your JetBrains account information, and it will be linked to your JetBrains account, and it'll make your subscription active, so you'll have a full license for using the product, and it won't keep reminding you or deny you some access to some of the features. But just to double check that everything is going to be working okay, we're going to just run a simple Hello World project. So we'll click on New Project, and we're going to make this a C executable. So we'll click on C executable. Make sure that you choose executable and not library, otherwise it's not going to be able to run. For our standard, we're going to select the 2011 standard, and then we're going to need to save it somewhere. There will be some default project directory to save things. Again, I'm not going to recommend that you use this one. You're going to want to select your own location for your projects so that you know where to find them and they're easier for you to locate. So I'm going to go to my D drive, and I have my CLion programs. So inside CLion programs, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder Hello World, and select OK. select OK again. This is the directory where your project is going to be placed. We say create. And we wait a second. Now, CLion is always a bit slow about getting things up and running the very first time that you load a project. So you're going to have to wait a little bit until the processes down here are finished running. But once it finishes loading our CMake project and developing all the symbols and loading them all and saving them, you should be able to run it, and you should eventually see that this green arrow up here becomes playable. It should probably happen before the symbols are finished building. So we'll go ahead and we'll click play, and it's going to build our project. So we wait for that to happen. And then you can see that hello world printed out. So everything's set up and good to go, and everything's running. And so you're all set up. One thing that I do recommend that you probably check out are your settings. Reaching them in Windows is going to be File and then Settings. But I believe in Mac, you have to click the little apple and then go to Settings. And then you're probably going to want to change some things around with the editor. I like my font a little bit bigger. So I like 18-point font just to help me see a little bit. And then I also recommend that you go underneath the code style and C++ style. And then we're going to want to set from a predefined style, and we're going to use Google style. Or if you have another style that you like, you can go ahead and change things. There's also some other things that I like to change around with the spaces and the blank lines. For example, I like to go under spaces, and it's down here. And I like my spaces after my stars in my declaration. And it should pop you down to the area where this change is going to be made. And it should update it, but it still might not happen because it's still, you can see, loading in the background. I also like my spaces after my ampersand in the declaration and not before it. These things are all personal preference for what you like. So go ahead and just play around with things to see what looks best to you. And then I will see you in class when we actually start going through how to program in C and C++. See you then.